Now to some breaking news happening in Israel. It has carried out a massive strike on a southern Beirut suburb where it says Hezbollah's headquarters are located. Specifically, Israel says it was targeting the terrorist organization's leader, Hassan Nasrallah. We still have no confirmation whether Nasrallah has been killed or not, but we do know rescue workers are responding to the scene in southern Beirut where they are evacuating the injured and retrieving bodies of those killed in that strike that leveled 6 buildings in the area. This is the 5th strike, by the way, on that suburb in just 1 week. Israeli Prime Minister has cut his visit short now after he gave his speech at the United Nations in New York. He is headed back to Israel. Our foreign correspondent Marcus Moore is in Beirut. Also, our foreign correspondent Tom Sufi-Burridge is in Tel Aviv. We also have Javed Ali, former senior director for counterterrorism on the National Security Council. So, Marcus, let's start with you. What have you learned about the impact of this strike so far, and any word on whether Nasrallah is dead or alive?
Well, Kira, this was a massive series of explosions. We heard and felt them today here in Beirut, and you may be able to see the haze in the distance behind me over the horizon. That is coming from the site of the strikes, where dust is still going into the air, where there right now is a massive search and rescue operation underway. We know from initial reports that several buildings were flattened in the midst of this a series of strikes that left smoke billowing into the air, and as you can see, catastrophic damage there at the site. We know from the health ministry tonight that at least 2 people have been killed, and there are said to be 76 people hurt. But when you look at the pictures and you hear the information about what was damaged and how many buildings, that number, Kira, is sure to rise. This is a densely populated area. In terms of any confirmation that Hassan Nasrallah, the Secretary General of Hezbollah, was at that location at the time of this strike, we don't know. Hezbollah has released no comment about what happened tonight. Kira.
All right, still waiting to find out. Tom, let's just talk about the significance of this strike and the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu actually cut short his trip here to the U.S. And he's headed back to Israel.
Yeah, it's hugely significant, this moment. I think this effectively signals from the Israeli military, the Israeli government, that we're moving into another phase of this war, a very dangerous phase of this war. The IDF is saying that they were targeting Hezbollah's headquarters underground in that area. An Israeli official saying to ABC News that multiple bunker buster bombs were used in this attack. And yes, it's significant if, and it's a big if at this stage, as Marcus was saying, Hassan Nasrallah is dead. But I think the mere fact that Israeli sources and US sources tonight are confirming to ABC News that they were targeting Nasrallah, I think that's highly significant. It shows that the Israelis are willing to go after the man who symbolizes this organization, Hezbollah, for the past 30 years. It signals that they are committed to going into this next phase of the war. It makes a ground operation by the Israeli military, which they've already been signaling in the near term more likely. And yes, Netanyahu is back to Israel tonight. And, you know, I think most people here in Tel Aviv tonight, I've just come from my floor in this hotel where a family were looking into the bomb shelter with their kids. And I think that's a sensible thing to do, because I think the anticipation now is that Hezbollah will respond. They have to respond. The question is how they can respond and when it will happen.
So, Javed, at the United Nations this morning, Netanyahu insinuated that Israel has the capability and the willingness to strike inside Iran as well, anywhere actually in the Middle East if necessary. Does what we have seen today and over the past 2 weeks represent a huge pivot for Israel's military and mission right now?
So, Karen, nice to be with you. And based on the remarks of President Netanyahu in signaling this potential threat to Iran, I would have to think that right now Israel has its hands full with both the war against Hamas and the Gaza Strip, and now this unfolding campaign against Hezbollah in Lebanon. And as Tom alluded to, the gloves have come off. All the red lines have been passed. And I think we're entering in a very dangerous phase of what's next with Israel and Hezbollah. If There is also some consideration of similar types of, pretty audacious operations and attacks inside Iran. Then all bets are off on how really dangerous things will be in the Middle East right now. So I don't get the sense that Israel is willing to do that now because, again, things are just so serious on their northern border and still the ongoing war against Hamas. But we also don't know how Prime Minister Netanyahu is making calculations about the next decisions.
Well, stay tuned because we want to try and figure out what those decisions will be. And of course, still trying to confirm whether Hassan Nasrallah is alive or injured.